Hey, so did you hear about that worldwide pandemic called COVID-19? Yeah, we went into quarantine. I don't know how you missed it. Of course, I'm being facetious. The entire world experienced it, and Hollywood is still pumping out movies about our experience and probably will for many years. Stay tuned to find out what I thought of the movie The Same Storm. Thanks for joining me at Movie Review Mom. I really appreciate your support. Be sure and hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell. It'll notify you every time I upload movie review, which is every day. And then sometimes I release a bunch more, way more than one movie review a day. There's so many movies, so little time. I love movies, obviously, and you probably do too, which is why you're watching this. So let me tell you about The Same Storm. This dramatic movie will be released in select theaters on October 14th, 2022, and released on video on demand. The movie is rated R for language, and I'll give you some tips for parents here in a minute. But honestly, I don't think kids are going to be interested in watching this. The film is an hour and 39 minutes, and my overall movie review mom grade is a C. Now, let me explain. Don't click away to another channel. Let me tell you why. So I'll give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like, tips for parents, themes worth talking about, interesting lines, funny lines, and even some recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that I think that you'll like, or maybe even like better than this one. All right, so let's dive in. In a nutshell, this film is a very moving portrait of the lives of 24 characters during the spring of the turbulent months of the quarantine of the pandemic in 2020. The movie was written and directed by Peter Hedges. So the list of things that I liked includes the fact that the movie starts by showing clips from Zoom meetings with the actors in the cast. It's really fun to see the interior of their homes, and the ensemble is just really star-studded. It includes the impressive list of Mary-Louise Parker, Judith Light, Moses Ingram, Ron Livingston, Allison Pill, Elaine May, Raul Castillo, Noma Dumasweny, Rosemary DeWitt, Daphne Rubin Vega, and many, many more. I love all of the shout outs to nurses towards the beginning of the movie as heroes. I actually teach classes at a nursing school, and they are heroes. They are such a unique student because I'm teaching the nursing students, because all they want to do is graduate and serve and help other people. And that is so admirable. Right now, we're experiencing a severe nursing shortage. So if you're thinking about getting into nursing, do it now. It's a very lucrative career, but it's also one that will bless you and bless thousands and thousands of others. We really need you out there. And so kudos, applause to all of those nurses who are still on the front lines battling every single day. I also love how each Zoom conversation showed how everyone was connected as they led into new conversations. For example, one person from each clip, usually there's a little sequence and there's one or two people, well, there's two or more people talking, and then one of those people then spills into the next sequence, and then one of those new people then spills into the next. So it's kind of a neat way to show that thread of humanity. Some of the stories will evoke a tear or two from your eyes, especially if they resonate with your personal experience of quarantine during 2020. Now, that being said, there were some things I didn't quite like or just thought could have been handled better. For example, this would have been a much more effective movie had it been released a year ago. Now, when you look on IMDb, it shows that it was released in 2021, but due to various production issues, the movie is just now coming out October 2022. One of the biggest problems of this movie, I think, is that we go to movies and to the theater specifically to escape from our lives. Instead, this movie was our life during the COVID quarantine. And so some viewers may not want to relive those horrible memories. There are some very heated conversations between siblings about politics, for example, and we're just roaring into the thick of campaign season here in the United States for the midterms, and people may not want to watch that. They may want to escape, instead hear all of the negative campaign ads and all that kind of stuff too. This movie makes me grateful ultimately and honestly for my family. They don't yell and scream at each other like many of the people in this movie do. We love each other now. We're not perfect, but we get along. We appreciate the differences. And there's just no yelling and screaming. And, Thanksgiving and Christmas can be stressful just because it's the holidays, but we always look forward to seeing our family. Maybe that's unusual nowadays, but that was what the focus of this movie was all of these relationships that are just so problematic and cantankerous and difficult. And I just thought it would be nice to balance out some of that reality with some families or some, the little sequences of people who enjoyed getting together, everybody making sourdough bread. We did that during quarantine, right? We all gained weight, and we spent a lot of close time together in a good way. A lot of us spent more time than we normally can. And that's a good thing. I mean, it can be a good thing. Anyway, the movie just didn't seem balanced. It seemed to just focus on all of the negativity. And so ultimately for me, the movie was depressing, yet hopeful at moments. But I guess that kind of describes the pandemic as a whole anyway, right? Let me give you some tips for parents. I mentioned that kids are probably not going to be interested in watching this. There is profanity and F-bombs. We see a topless woman as a digital sex worker working from home online. So we see that. A guy asks his girlfriend to send him sexual pictures of herself, which is inappropriate in my opinion. This is movie review mom, of course. Spanish is spoken without subtitles. There's a biracial gay couple who fight about racism. There are some conversations between a father and mother about the Black Lives Matter protests. Of course, the father doesn't want her to do that because it's dangerous, and she wants to get out there and fight for what she believes in. And so, there's still more fighting and arguing, but some interesting topics and issues for sure. And reality is just all over all of it. So some of the themes that are illustrated well are habit, control, hope, family, racism, politics, pandemic, of course, fear, loneliness, medical workers, therapy, depression, and anxiety. So I always write down funny lines and interesting lines on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So run over there and check those out. I'll share a few of them with you right now. I didn't write down any funny lines because this just felt more like a drama. Now, there are some sarcastic moments and some moments where I think they were hoping to have it be more playfully humorous, but I didn't think the humor really landed. And overall, it's just a dramatic movie. And so I'll share some interesting lines with you. And this is the line that the movie's title gets its name from. It's actually written on a title card at the beginning of the movie. And the quote is by Damien Barr, and it says, "We are not all in the same boat. We are all in the same storm." In other words, we're experiencing life differently. That life, that storm could come as a blessing or as temptation or as fear or, whatever the experience is. But we're still experiencing life together. And so there is that similarity, that humanity that's definitely seen and felt in the movie. Cindy Lamson has an interesting line. She's played by Rosemary DeWitt, and she says, quote, "The moment we try to control the unknown, we lose our balance," end quote. And I thought that was a great line, and definitely something that most of us learned during the pandemic. We wanted to feel like we were in control of something because we weren't in control of hardly anything. And so I thought that was good. And then Moses Ingram says a line, "This is not a time to be alone." So many people did feel alone because we were isolated. For the most part, we were quarantined. And that's really hard. We as humans are social creatures and need to get out. And so it's so nice to be able to get out. I actually just got off the phone with my twin sister who's visiting my mother in a memory care facility out of state. So I couldn't physically be there. So she called me on her cell phone so I could see her and talk to her on the phone. And my sister was wearing the mask again. They're still requiring that in that particular nursing home. So I thought that that was interesting. We're still not done with this pandemic for sure. All right, so I want to give you a couple of recommendations for other films that I think are sort of similar-ish that you'll enjoy. The first one is called Family Squares. The movie Family Squares also takes place during the pandemic, and it's really cute because it's filmed almost entirely with the Zoom squares. You know, we all learned how to use Zoom so we could see each other. And so the family is on there talking with different combinations of family members throughout the whole movie. And I thought it was actually really clever because that is how we experience the quarantine part. And then another movie that I thought was excellent is called Together. Fantastic performances, and one of the very first movies to come out during the quarantine period, which is amazing that they could do that. It's a married couple and just incredible dialogue and a very intimate look at a married couple. And again, excellent performances. So check that one out. However, there's a lot of profanity and F-bombs in that one as well. All right, thank you so much for spending a few minutes while we talk about movies. If you're ever feeling down and depressed or just experiencing high levels of anxiety and stress, because now we've got the economic aftermath of the pandemic, check out my online course called Managing Depression, Anxiety, and Stress at lifelonglearningeducation.com. It's me giving you some really great techniques and tools to use to help manage some of those very normal feelings. And if you want just a little pick-me-up, check out my daily podcast called Daily Inspirational Quote, hosted by Trina Boice. It's a short 3-minute podcast. You can even add it to your Alexa flash briefing. Oh, she just made a noise. Just like that. All right, thank you so much for watching my videos. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.